Guys, who are going to be the 3 most broken champions for each role in 13.4? Well, if you've been watching our recent videos, you better know, hey. Like, you should know. So if you haven't watched them, go watch them. Give them a like, thumbs up, leave a comment. Yeah, help us out with the old algorithm. Well done. But like I mentioned in our recent videos, guys, yeah, if you play these champions, well done. Your win rate, what? You might win like 2 or 3 more games, but why does that matter? Because when these champions get nerfed, you're still going to be the same hard start clamp player. So why don't we actually improve how we play the game first? Why don't we actually improve as a player? You know how to do that? Sign up to the GameLeap website. If I'm uploading like my condensed coaching sessions with people who I help to climb tiers, whether they're in like diamond to master, whether it's silver to gold, like you guys are getting access to them and all you have to do is sign up, like that's it. If you guys don't climb in divisions and tiers just from watching my vids, I'll be amazed, honestly. And that's for every role as well. I cover every single role and so do our other challenger players and coaches. So I can't stress how important it is if you do actually want to get better. These YouTube videos, yeah, they kind of help. They're interesting maybe, but the real hardcore gamers out there, if you do really want to improve and make something out of League of Legends, the GameLeap website is the best source on the internet. Now, moving on to the actual 3 best champions for each role for 13.4. We're going to start in the support role. First of all, we have Rakan. Most versatile support. Blind pick him, counter pick him, don't care. Zaya's really good at the moment as well. Zaya, Rakan. Honestly, guys, if it was pro play, these 2 champions would be getting picked on the first 2 to 3 picks, 100%. They are so good in lane together, and because of the recent buffs to Rakan, your Q is actually healing for more, right? When you land it on an enemy champion and headbutt your AD carry. Also, your W dealing more damage. It means that when you land your W, you're going to get more kills. Just a quick tip though, try to land your W with your ultimate. Way too many Rakan players will like press their ultimate and then try to land like a max range W. Press your ultimate and just Shurelya's into the enemy team. Charm them, 100% guarantees your W, right? Or what you can do is even flash onto them. So R flash quickly onto them, land your W. It's just chain CCing, right? But yeah, Rakan is number 3. Very, very strong support. Speaking of very, very strong supports, we have Nautilus at number 2. Land a hook on this guy because of the changes in 13.3, your passive damage going up, your W got a couple of buffs as well, right? And your E's based damage went up as well. It means for an all-in support, because you've got more damage, it's more all-in-y. And just like I mentioned for Rakan, right, there's just more chance, guys, of you getting kills out of landing your hook. So this has been big for Nautilus, and that's why, especially in higher reloads anyway, he's actually an S+ tier champion with over 52% win rates in pretty much every single region in the world. So that's why he's number 2. But both of these have beaten to number 1 by Blitzcrank, and Blitzcrank, guys, has been like a mainstay OP support for so long now, and it's really because of the base damage buffs they gave him towards the end of last season. So to your Q and to your ultimate, I know your Q's damage got nerfed from rank 2 onwards, but you're still dealing a lot of damage. So if you land one hook into an ultimate, into an E, into an ignite, GG, that champion is going to die regardless of who they are. So Blitzcrank is number 1. Now, AD carries, who's strong? Well, think about all these engaged supports, right? The 3rd best AD carry is Jhin, and Jhin is going to love playing with engaged supports. Why? Because abilities are huge for Jhin and actually landing them, right? So because he's very skill shot oriented, apart from his Q, of course, then in terms of supports, the valuable ones for Jhin, Nautilus, Rakan, Blitzcrank, right? These type of champions, when these become stronger, Jhin kind of like indirectly becomes stronger as well. So if you think about a Nautilus landing his Q into an ultimate, Jhin lands his W 100% into his ultimate, and that enemy champion is already at like quarter HP, lands a couple of curtain calls. It's just too easy, right? It's too easy to do at the moment, and Jin's win rates across every single elo back this up as well. So he's number 3. Now moving on to number 2. Blade of the Rune King, right? Can you guys remember like a few patches ago that getting buffed so the actual on-hit damage for ranged champions going up 1%? Well, who can use this in the bot lane? Coldmore might be one champion, but who's another? Twitch is the other AD carry, right? The big abuser of this, and his win rates as a result of this change have really gone through the roof. This is why Twitch is at number 2. Now, yes, Enchantresses might be getting nerfed because Spell Thief's Edge is getting nerfed, and you're probably not going to see champions like Lulu and Yuumi around as much, but for Twitch, it doesn't matter too much because you have an attack speed steroid in your Q, and just like I mentioned for Jhin, the actual win rate of Twitch is too high for me not to put him in here. So Twitch is number 2. But the number 1 AD carry, guys, for 13.4, we mentioned Rakan. Well, who's the number 1 AD carry? This is Xayah. Have you guys seen this champion, by the way, or like played against her in lane? My goodness, it's oppressive. Like, I thought this champion, you had to pick her against like engage or close range champions. Nah, you don't, bro. You can pick her into anything now. I don't know what has happened. Well, maybe the base attack speed ratio buff helped you out. Yeah, it did. It definitely did. But what I'm saying is, like, when you get Navori, that should be the real spike, and it is, don't get me wrong. But for some reason, every part of Xayah's game, early game, mid game, late game, it feels super broken. And with Navori quick blades, right, proccing earlier now because you're getting this as your second major item, not a third. Your cooldowns are going down. Your ultimate's not going to be on like a 5-minute cooldown. So nice for Xayah, and her win rate is the highest out of all the AD carries. She's undisputed number 1 at the moment. So if you guys aren't picking her, you are really missing a trick here, and missing increasing your win rate as well. Now, heading to the mid lane. three best mid laners. Number 3, if you want to play kind of like a control mage who can roam around the map and dominate, this is Ryze. Ryze is also very good with junglers like Lee Sin, Viego, right? Because you can land an E and W, your rune prison, into a root, right? And then your teammates can come in like Viego with his W, Lee Sin with his Q. It's very scary. So Ryze is number 3, and yeah, because Rod of Ages and Seras, they're in such a good spot as well. Ryze himself is not getting nerfed this patch, and we've seen him in pro play, picked and banned. I've got to mention him here. Even though his win rate might not be that high, you guys will know if you've played against a Ryze in lane, he's actually a very strong champion. Now, number 2, this is Aurelia. And if you're an Aurelia main, you probably like seeing Ryze. You know why? Because you're playing against a platinum mid laner, bro. Like, it doesn't matter if they pick Ryze, right? Go and watch Faker, go and watch Showmaker play Ryze, Chovy play Ryze. The champion is very different, yeah? So we're really talking about like just maxing out potential on these champions. Ryze has got to be here, and so does Aurelia. Like, Aurelia's in the same boat. Might not have like the highest win rate in the world, but as an actual champion in the mid lane, it's very good. Even in pro play, right, we're seeing her picked a lot more now. Really because like AP junglers have become popular. I mean, even if Elise is getting nerfed next patch, Aurelia will still be good in 13.4 because there are a bunch of OP AP junglers still. But yeah, Aurelia is number 2, and I'd highly recommend guys definitely picking Aurelia if you see an AP mid and jungle on the enemy team. Now, the number 1 mid laner for 13.4 is going to continue to be Annie. Even though, right, hotfix nerfed her, like, does anyone care about these nerfs? Legit. No, of course not, right? That's why her win rate is still like 54, 55%. And honestly, guys, like, if 13.4 drops when Annie is still in the position she's in now, she'll 100% get hotfix nerfed again. So please, if you do want LP, like, if you legit want these videos to mean something to you, play Annie. She's easily the most OP champion on the Rift still. I mean, it might be hard because she's getting picked and banned so much, but yeah, if she is open, just lock her in. Even if you're playing her as like an AD carry, like, who cares? Jungle Annie, legit. She's just the best champion on the Rift at the moment. So Annie is number 1. Tibbers is unkillable. Your E is an actual ability now, and you can never kill her. And you're starting the game with your stun up. Makes your level 1 scary, especially your invade. And let's be real, people are always going to die to that stuff. So Annie is number 1. Now, moving into the jungle. I'm kind of excited here about the number 1 champion because the first 2 champions I'm going to mention are number 3 and number 2 for the best junglers. Evelynn and Echo, they're not really like that interesting, right? We've mentioned them for ages because these champions with the new jungle clear, how it just works, right, with Krugs, or the big Krug anyway, going into a bunch of little Krugs, it helps these full clearers get through their clear and get to level 4 quicker. Also, I mentioned in yesterday's video, right, the 15 most broken, that strong early game junglers, like if we're talking about Kindred, maybe Graves or Nidalee, well, Nidalee is actually still at the same strength, but Graves isn't that amazing. Kindred got some big nerfs last patch, but you should be able to navigate your way out of the laning phase and chill. So Evelynn and Echo, these are number 2 and number 3, and yeah, their win rates across every single elo, because people just don't know how to jungle against them, are super high. Damage these champions deal, Evelynn especially, because when she goes invis, right, from level 6 onwards, very difficult to keep track of her. So yeah, these 2 champions are number 2 and number 3. But the number 1 jungler, guys, or 13.4, this is going to continue to be Blue Kayn. Well, maybe not continue actually, because Maokai was super broken, right? But Blue Kayn is kind of the same. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen the win rates for Blue Kayn ever since Riot buffed his passive damage, and also your Q's bonus AD ratio. So your Q is dealing more damage the more attack damage you get. This means for Blue Kayn in the mid to late game, you are one-shotting everyone. All you have to do is just W and Q a squishy target. They're going to get blown up 100%. And because there are nerfs to pretty much everyone else, because Demonic is getting nerfed, Amumu, Udyr, Elise, Maokai, all of these are getting nerfed. So Blue Kayn is really just going to like stand alone, maybe with Echo and Evelynn kind of close next to him, as the number 1 jungler. I just recommend picking this, guys, when you have an actual strong mid laner. So if you have something like a Syndra, Orianna, and Annie, picking Kayn, it's going to allow you to actually do your job and get into the mid to late game, which is when you can actually take over the reins. Now, moving to the top lane, guys, the final role to discuss. First of all, coming in at number 3, we have Jace. Now, Jace you could easily put at number 1, and I'm being legit here, even though his win rate might be around 49%, it's like the Aurelia, I guess, of the top lane. Yes, his win rate might not be that high, right? But if you guys have played against a Jace in the top lane, he's pretty much like unbeatable. Well, you can beat him, I understand. If you're playing something like a Wukong, Malphite's getting buffed as well next patch, could be scary if you chase. But still, in the majority of matchups, in the majority of games, you're going to dumpster the enemy top laner. If you don't, you're not playing him right. So you know what you have to do? Check out the GameLeap website. Thank you. Number 2, top laners. This is Fiora. Grasp, Scorch, oh, but it's just Fiora, right? Like, just get me out. She has to be included here, guys. Play against a Fiora in lane, and you will understand why she's included here. Also, if you're running something like Ghost and TP, you don't always have to run like Flash and TP. So think about that, guys, in your games if you're playing against a top laner with a lot of kite and a bit of range. Fiora, running Ghost, that's how you can actually win those matchups as well. And I still think that champion with Ghost is really good because it gives you the stickiness you need to stick to them, and it gives you a better chance of landing all of your vitals when your ultimate procs, right? So Fiora is number 2, even against ranged champions like Kennen, like, who else is there? Like Quinn and Vay maybe. Fiora still does very well, yeah, just because she's innately broken. And that's why she's probably still like one of the most banned champions on the Rift. And speaking of one of the most banned champions on the Rift, guys, the #1 top laner for 13.4 for another patch, it's Darius. Can you guys tell? Like, right, I sound like a broken record, eh? When was the last time I didn't mention Darius in the top lane? I don't know, because ever since 12.10, when the durability meta hit the Rift, Darius has been #1 for just pretty much like every single patch, it feels like. This champion, whether you're going Trinity Force, Stridebreaker, the new Black Cleaver might be interesting on him, the new Steris Gauge might be interesting on him. Like everything around Darius as far as your items go has been buffed. Lots of champions in the top lane as well have been nerfed in recent times, like Jax is getting nerfed next patch. So Darius is really just going to stand alone as the #1 top laner. Also the TP change right from last season, because Darius, you're running Flash and Ghost. TP getting nerfed, it helps you become an even more dominant top laner because the enemy champion isn't going to be able to keep up in terms of experience as much because they won't have TP as much. So Darius is the #1 top laner, guys, and those were the 3 most broken champions for each role for 13.4. Let me know in the comment section what you actually think of these lists, and also if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like down below. Thank you so much for watching all of it, and until our next season 13 upload, this has been EZCHALLENGER. Peace.